I managed to cut this out of some round stock in 13 minutes. Really nice and flat. This is exactly what I wanted this thing to do. In my experience, powered hacksaws do a better job than a standing bandsaw, a cheap one. And that right there to me, that pays for that, being able to do that. I made 2 coins. But now we're gonna put away some tools. First tool the first, ball peen hammer. I use this on the tray here to dial it in. This tray collects the metal dust so that it doesn't get everywhere. I will also probably add a guard for the belt because I don't like an open belt hanging out in the world. But ball peen hammer was meant for smushing aluminum rivets even thinner. I guess it's hammer time. Big thwacker, brass thwacker, plastic thwacker. That's my favorite. This is the one that I also used for manipulating the aluminum. What I like about it is it's plastic, so it doesn't super dent the aluminum like metalwork does, like metal hammer does. This is one of my favorite hammers. Drills. Right angle drill. This is the narrowest right angle drill from a discontinued 12 volt Makita system. This was for me getting up under to attach something where I didn't have the reach of a normal drill. Impact driver. I used all the impact drivers, specifically this one also for the nuts and bolts of taking the machine apart. Oh, right, and that lends us right to, actually, let me put the drills away. I know. Hey. 1/8" drill bit, Makita drill with an 1/8" drill bit. This gave me the ability to add pop rivets. Pop rivets, we'll cover those in a minute. Sorry about that, everybody. I'll be right there. Oh, sorry about that. Hi. Heat gun. This was for heating up the solderless solder connectors, which were pretty good, but they didn't like the old wire. But beautiful heat gun. This one's, I don't have a model number or name on this one. We've got 88, here we are, 8858i, 120 volt, 650 watt. A fan sent this to me recently saying, I'm surprised you don't have a heat gun with multiple tips. And they said, you've given so much, I just want to send you one. And they did. And I've been using it ever since. So thank you. Taking apart this machine was a lot of socket set work. And if you're only going to get one socket set, man, I'm here to tell you I love this Milwaukee one. I make a big and a small. I use them both all the freaking time. Hand metal brakes for adjusting little bits of aluminum here and there, making tabs and things. You can't kind of have too many of these. Like, I know these look nearly identical, but this being a locking one is really good. They get me in corners. I actually modified this one to get into a corner for my shelves. WD-40 for all your cleaning needs. Don't use it as a protectant. It goes away. It disappears after a while. No, use it as a cleaner. And for your protectant, use this stuff, Bow Shield. T9. I love this stuff. I give everything a spritz with this one. I'm going away for any period of time. Bow Shield. The compass came out as part of a template for the thing that will cover the belt, but I haven't gotten around to that. And then the 2 India stones here were for stoning the bed, just to take off all the burrs that might have existed, and also stoning the path that the saw takes. The saw rides on a steel bar, and I just gave it a once over with the India stone to smooth down any burrs. It didn't need much work. Oh yeah, these are the Milwaukee scissors, and I dig them. And yeah, it's really hard to beat 3-in-1 oil as a general purpose shop oil. It's terrific. The main arm of the saw rides on 2 tapered pins, 2 cones effectively. And there's a mechanism for tightening it up. I gave it some of this super red and tacky grease in there. It's just a movement that does this repeatedly for long periods of time. The thing has oilers everywhere for keeping it running smoothly. I may make a couple of oil cups soon as just part of like getting some stuff done on it. Red and tacky grease. Loctite. Yes, I used Loctite on a couple of the spindle screws just to make sure they wouldn't wind themselves back out again. My 1/2-inch box end wrench. That was used to tighten down the motor where no other tool was able to get in that little shallow space. Cloth electrical tape. I like this stuff. I like it for finish work. Regular electrical tape has a wide variance in quality. And you grab the wrong roll and you wrap it tight, it can slowly work itself away and get sticky over time. I've cleaned up so many messes of other people's vinyl electrical tape. Don't get me wrong, I had to clean up a mess on this job with the cloth stuff, but I really like this. I like the way it feels. I like the way it protects. I like it's warm. It's warm. That's your synesthetic. Electrical tape assessment. This staking block, which I put in my anvil, I recently, off camera, did a bunch of adjustment of all my staking blocks so that they fit in my anvil, and I used that in this orientation, right? I can do this. And, yeah. Oh, no, it's actually clearly that's the way it wants to go. At any rate, yeah, I did this to adjust the aluminum tray. There, that aluminum tray, which holds the metal powder from the cuts. I shaped it using this. My microtorch used for setting some heat shrink and for melting the ends of some parachute cord. I'm gonna hang that back up. That was a test cut of metal. That's gonna go in a round stock. Calipers, micrometers, digital mics. All 3 come out because I lose them all the time. Went through this whole thing where I remember first going to Fox Hardware on 4th Street here in San Francisco and buying my first set of dial calipers. $30. It was a lot of dough. And then years later, being able to afford, it was great, a pair of Mitutoyo calipers. Now I'm all the way back to using the OG dial calipers. I just feel like it gives me a better sense of a thousandth. Tape measures too. They all made it out. They're all lurking about the house somewhere. Mat knife, X-Acto knife. Oh, the X-Acto knife. Both of these were actually for stripping wire off of heavy stuff that my Stripax wire strippers couldn't handle. It's generally pretty amazing, but sometimes for the thicker stuff, it gives up the ghost. Okay. 1, 2, 3 blocks. Actually, 2, 3, 4 blocks and 1, 2, 3 blocks. These were used to shore up some stuff so that it stayed upright while I was working on it. And they also provided me sort of a hammer background, again, for that little tray. Lots of tools came out for that little tray, and I didn't even film it. 1/2-inch 13. Yeah, this was a tap I used to help clean out one of the holes holding this whole thing down. Crescent wrenches. Do I need to explain? Oh, I will. You don't have to feel dumb if you don't know. These are for nuts and for bolts, for hex-headed bolts. The Allens, nice couple. My Bondhus Allens for all the Allen needs, and my, rivets and rivet gun. I used a bunch of rivets in this one, holding some of the stuff together. The rivets I used were all aluminum body rivets, 1/8 inch. Phillips screwdriver. Oh, and cable management little clasps. I haven't found the ones of these that I love most of all. These are just okay. So these were used for routing the cable that comes out of the on and off switch, just for a general Phillips headed thing. And the unibit was used for widening out a couple of the holes, something it is spectacularly excellent at. Found another tape measure. And another drill. And another flathead screwdriver. Okay, let's get all the flathead screwdrivers out of here. Drills are going. The masking tape and the rubber gloves. I think they were for a different thing. All right. Self-tapping shorty sheet metal screws. These I use to hold something in the 1/4" aluminum, but 1/4" aluminum is too beefy for these and it tends to shear their heads off. No good. So I went with rivets instead, but I do love these puppies. Drill battery goes back on charger. I used a multimeter for audible continuity. My favorite thing it is good for. Audible continuity is this. It is simply that when you touch the two leads together, they beep. Killer feature. I would buy a thing for $10 that just did that. But we all have to get that built into our multimeters. And I just love Fluke yellow. Best color of any. Yeah. Anyway, that was for doing a lot of the mechanical troubleshooting inside the motor when I had it open and I was trying to make sure I wasn't burning it out or frying it. All right. Right. The first multimeter I reached for did not have a working battery, so I used this one, which also has audible continuity. I know, I just pulled out another one that did have power, so I have a lot of multimeters. These clip leads, which were also recently sent to me by a fan, were not used for clipping wires and connecting their continuity. They were used for holding some screws in place, long screws in the motor while I was taking it apart. Alligator clips are ideal for such an execution of like, I had this long screw holding the whole motor together and I don't want it to fall out and I don't want the motor to separate out and all this stuff to go flying. You got to anticipate that when you're taking something apart. You don't want things to go flying because you'll lose all the most important little bits. So these were to hold them in place while I was investigating. A nice fine file. This was for rounding the corners on one of the pieces that I adjusted to fit where I needed it to go. A square. That was for figuring out the correct placement of the machine on its base and making sure it was all square to each other. Angle grinder with the flap wheel. That was for cleaning up the backsides of some of those self-tapping screws that were sticking through the aluminum with their heads sheared off. Hear that? Oh, okay, let's get through all of the... You hear that? That's weather. It doesn't do that often here. Spectacular. Channel locks. I needed a little extra gription on something, and when you need some mechanical advantage, this is a reasonable thing for every maker's toolbox. Nippers, pair of nippers, pair of regular pliers, pair of needle nose pliers, pair of get yourself in there really tight needle nose pliers. These are Milwaukee's. I like them. Are they Milwaukee? Wait. No. I've written my name over the brand of this. Sorry about that. These are Knipex needle nose. Knipex, I think, sent these to me. I apologize. It is Knipex. It is Knipex, right? Knipex. These 6 come out for almost any given build, really. And I do need to do a full sort of rejiggering of this malarkey. But that will be coming. Sharpie. Honorable mention, clutch tool. Remember I said, yeah, I had some work to undo with the cloth electrical tape. That was one of my attempts at strain relief that actually pulled a couple of things apart. Toothbrush. You can buy like 100 toothbrushes for $3 or $4 from, one of those sites, Temu, Amazon, whatever you like. Bulk toothbrushes, really great to have. I use this for cleaning something out. Oh, right. And when you're speaking about cleaning something out, honorable mention. Shout out to the parts washer. For a restoration, it's not quite a restoration, but for a project like this, the parts washer is completely clutch, takes care of all the grease. I wear gloves and I do not, don't get me wrong, I still get filthy by the end of the day, but not nearly as filthy as I should have been had I not worn the vinyl gloves. Anyway, parts washer was absolutely mission critical for this gig. Wire nuts, wire nuts were for some temporary wiring while I was solving some problems. In the big gear wheel, its post had come loose from its moorings, and I used this metal punch around the perimeter of that to re-mushroom it and re-secure it inside its seat. I hope it was sufficient. That goes in the punches. Speaking of punches, here are some other types of punches for pushing bushings and bearings through. I used 3 or 4 different sizes of these. A set of punches like this, really, really important to have if you're going to do tool repair. It does things trivially that would be a nightmare to do any other way. It makes hard jobs easy. I think I could have said it like that. Why did you use so many words? My solderless solder connectors, you heat this up and the solder inside melts, but the heat shrink does not. That is super cool. I've been loving these for lots of wiring jobs, but for old stuff, I don't think it's that great. I did this and none of them really quite took. I had to redo a lot. Shop rags. I used a metric ton of these. My favorite shop rags, my shop rags are OR scrub rags. They are used once, disinfected, and sold in bulk. And I recently bought a 200 pack. That's making me very happy. I love these shop rags. The red ones, those red ones, the red ones I mean. Don't use those ever again. Stop using them. They are not rags. They are dye transfer platforms. The red in them gets on stuff, it gets in stuff. It's just... Why anyone thought dyeing a rag red was a reasonable thing to do makes me crazy. Anyway, those red shop rags, don't get them. Get these OR scrubs. They yield almost no lint whatsoever. They last so long. Here's how long they last. This one used to be this color. Still actually okay for like degreasing stuff. Yeah. We're not going to find that on Amazon. That's a homemade jobby. That's a scribe, a nice little sharp scribe. And I use that for scribing the drill placement of the tiny little window on the motor where its speed adjust lives. I'm assuming it's speed adjust. I did not adjust it, so I can't confirm. But everything I know about machines tells me it's probably a speed adjust. Is that everything? That's almost everything. Ha! White paint marker, paint pen, Presto. This is my favorite one. Tom Sachs introduced me to these. This was when I was all the way in the motor. I had 4 wires coming around each other, and I knew that 2 went to each other and 2 others went to each other. And I also knew the moment I touched this like bird's nest of wires, I would lose track of them. So this is what the white paint marker is so brilliant at. I came in there and I put a dot on 2 of the wires, greasy, ancient, 50, 60-year-old wires, covered with cosmoline, whatever. Still, that paint lasted and stayed on there, this marker. Amazing. Heat shrink tubing. Yes, I used a lot of heat shrink tubing. I've recently upgraded my heat shrink tubing collection to go all 4-to-1 shrinkage heat shrink. That's what this stuff is. It's 4-to-1. He says holding up a 3-to-1, a 3-to-1. Apparently, I'm a liar. I thought I had upgraded to 4-to-1. That means it's a 4x shrinkage. It shrinks to 1/4 of its original diameter. Most heat shrink is like 3 to 1. And frankly, I've gotten in trouble with that. So I've tried to it's funny. I just had a little moment. I just had a little dad moment in which I said, I made some, I move my head in a way when I say a punchline occasionally. And it's something that I can see Thing 2 does. And I was just like, we had brunch a few days ago, and he was telling a story. And just as I said that and said that punchline, I was reminded that this thing you see in your kids is kind of neat. I think that is everything. This chip brush will eventually live tied to the machine for brushing away stuff. There'll be a couple of other things that live with it, like whey oil and also cutting oil. So there may end up being a little shelf on this unit. I am not sure. I am sure that it's going to get a protector on its I am sure it's going to get a protector here around the belt, because that's just a crazy hazard waiting to happen. Yeah, I may make a little bucket for the cord to live in. That's always something that you need to, I feel like I like to address in my shop. Here is a little squirt bottle of whey oil, which is for keeping this thing properly greased. I really should put a sign on it that says oil every time. Oh yeah, this is great. This is just a lovely, lovely machine. I'm so happy. There we go. I believe I have covered almost one last thing. Craigslist purchase medical tray. This kicks all over the shop. It is amazing. I think I replaced its tray with this cookie tin. Oh, look at that. The bolt fell off. At any rate, if I find another one, I'm going to buy it. These things are great. Oh, look at that. It's a 5/16 grub screw that fits inside the 5/16 nylock. This is something you'll never, ever see. These two would never meet under normal circumstances. They're like a couple that would never meet, because you would never, ever, ever, ever need a grub screw this short to live in a nylock. I don't know why I find this fascinating, but the idea is that, yeah, these two, this is like coming up with one of those Google searches that only yields one result, right? Like two things that should never meet each other under normal circumstances. Clearly, I'm just delaying going home now. Thank you guys for joining me for this. I'm so excited about my new mechanical electric hacksaw. Amazing. It's just fantastic. I'm so happy about this. Thanks for joining me, you guys. I'll see you next time. I can't thank you enough for supporting us by watching the channel. If you've been to our merch store, you might want to head there again, because we are always updating our roster with new products. Here is the anime-inspired Tested logo in Japanese, one of my all-time favorite new designs. We're also selling Tested mugs and Tested hats. Oh, and if you want a cup of tea, we're selling that too.
Tested-store.com.
Tested-store.com.